Controversial bill in Delaware on end-of-life options is moving forward in the state's legislature. It allows someone who is terminally ill to have the right to have their final say on their final moments. And for Wilmington resident Lynn Novi, this is personal. Her father died from esophageal cancer.
As he became ill, he really wanted to be able to not put my mother, my brother, and myself through the suffering, and he didn't want to suffer.
So her father's dying wish was to urge then Governor John Carney to sign the legislation that passed both chambers last year. Carney vetoed it 4 days after Lynn's father's death last September. Now, for the 10th time.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Am I clear? Am I coming in clear? All right, there we go. There we go. I apologize about that. I don't know what was going on, but we're good to go here now. So, as I was saying, we have a packed show today. Hope we can get through it all. And thank you for joining me today. A little hiccup at the beginning, but we got it situated and we're going to roll right through it like we know we can. So, as you guys heard in that video, even though we're going to cut it short, we're not going to run it back. We're going to keep moving forward because that's the best way to go. We see something very fishy happening in Delaware specifically because they're trying to push this whole idea of assisted suicide. And as you guys can see, well, the woman was saying that her father was sick, terminally ill, and his wishes was not to be a burden. But it's not so much that they want assisted suicide. It's the location. Because we were just made aware last week, or earlier this week rather, that Joe Biden's secret's being revealed that he is prostate cancer. Not just any prostate cancer, but a prolonged and final stage. It's metastasized to the bone. Now, prostate cancer is something very, very slow. You could have that for a prolonged period of time and not die from it at all. But when it metastasizes to the bone of any kind of cancer, that means that it's been there for a while. And how long have they known about this? Because this is not something that happens overnight. This is something that takes a long time. Again, prostate cancer is a slow cancer. Getting to the bone is slow. So how long have they known? Because as I recall, and you should as well, the Biden's annual physical in 2024 said that he was great. No new concerns from the White House. Well, seems like there were some concerns. Biden's primary health exam showed that he had no recent findings back then, that his physical exam that saying he was like top notch for his age and all this other stuff. And then we get hit with that bombshell that the man, had prostate cancer for a while, clearly, and they're not releasing much information on this, and nor will they. But I find it fishy that this new bill is being perpetuated again. Well, it's not new, but a revised version of this bill is being perpetuated after being shot down. How much are you willing to bet that that bill gets passed? I'm willing to take it to the bank that that bill gets passed this time around and good old Joe gets taken out. Because then there's no longer any burden. There's no need to put him in front of a camera so he can speak. It's almost like the perfect cover up. And I know that sounds a little conspiratorial, but it is a potentiality. And if you don't think so, you might be living under a rock. Now, I personally know for a fact, after working in the medical field as long as I have, that cancer and cancer treatment can cause neurological issues. Now, would that have been why Biden, fell a lot, shook hands with ghosts, talked under his breath, said crazy words where almost like his brain shut off and then turned back on and was still in the middle of rebooting while he was talking? This is something that is very, very perplexing. And there is another video, which I did not get in at this time, where he told us in 2022 that he had cancer. And they took it as a gaffe, as a joke, as something that was just, oh, he made a mistake. And he was speaking about, oil and all that stuff and how his mother was driving through this area and they windshield wipers and it would just smear up the windshield. And that's why he had cancer, because of the exposure to the oils in Delaware. So I leave this up to you and want you guys to make your own summation of what's really going on. Are we being lied to? Have we been lied to? Or is this just something freak and just spontaneously happen? According to science, and yes, we over here on the right believe in real science, that's not possible. But I digress. We'll move forward. In other news, we have our bonds being bought out by the UK, but I want to explain something first, and I'm going to let my friend Dean and Alexis do so from a video that they posted on TikTok, and they do such a good job of it because apparently our bonds move to the UK and we get a lower credit rating from Moody. So let's check this out.
Why did Moody's downgrade the U.S. credit rating? Is that a big deal? Or what do you think about that?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, for that downgrade, it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal, but it's not based on what they just did, because there are three credit reporting agencies for institutions and sovereigns and countries, whatever, right? Fitch, S&P, Moody's, right? S&P downgraded us already in 2011. Fitch downgraded us in 2023. So Moody's is just playing catch up to downgrade us. But from a downgrade perspective, I don't think the market's cared. It's already recovering right now. But I think what it really means is this: we're getting downgraded as not having the highest credit rating because our deficits keep ballooning. Shocker, like we all didn't know that, right? And the fear is future inflation. And when you get downgraded because there's a concern that we're not going to be able to, we're going to continually have to keep it, we're going to continue to have this problem of paying our bills, paying our interest service, and the rates are high and it keeps rising and rising and rising. It's like when you lend money to someone who has no debt or someone who has a lot of debt, which one's more risky?
Right.
Someone who has a lot of debt, right? And our situation is tough because every year, every administration, every political cycle, it doesn't change. It just gets worse. Our deficit grows. Our debt to GDP grows and grows and grows, right? And the other problem, I think, is the bigger picture problem is if we keep going like this, we're going to have to keep printing money. We're going to keep selling treasuries to service our debt. Meaning we don't make enough money, right, to service our debt, and we have to keep borrowing to pay the interest service cost on our previous borrowing, and it keeps going and going and going and going, and that's the bigger fear. That's, I think, what people should be focusing on.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So if you don't know who he is deep in the stocks worlds, the stock exchange and the stock market, and he gives absolutely positively fantastic advice. So if you guys saw their TikTok at the bottom, they have a link tree where you can go look at the rest of the stuff. Follow him if you want good financial advice. I've been following him for a little while now, and it has made a difference. But in this, you have to understand that our bonds being bought out by the UK and the drop in our status isn't a coincidence. And what I find to be really perplexing is how is it that their credit rating, meaning the United States, can drop and ours personally, me, you, everyone watching, can drop, but they get to keep making more money. They keep getting this spin. Their interest goes up. They're not paying on the principal. They're paying only on the interest and not even paying on the interest in itself in its entirety. But if we did that, we would be so low in the dirt as far as our credit score that nobody would have any dealings with us. We couldn't get cars. We couldn't get homes. We couldn't buy property. None of that. Yet the federal government gets to continue to do all of that. I just find it very weird. But going on to the bonds moved to the UK, the largest holder of treasury bonds drops to number 2. the UK has bought out our treasury bonds from China. And if you don't know, Japan is our number one. China was our number two, but it's flip-flop now. So the UK total holdings of foreign U.S. treasuries reached an all-time high of 9.05 trillion in March. This marks an increase in more than $233 billion from $8.81 trillion in February. The private foreign investors have made a net purchase total of $146 billion, which is not really good. It's not good. And I find it fishy that our bonds are being sold at this point in time, especially by China, because is this a lateral move by China to cut losses and gain where they're losing from the tariff war with Trump? Because it's not America that's tariffing China. Let's be for real. It's Trump. And because the Congress doesn't really have any authority over that anymore because they gave that power to the president back in the 1850s, and it would take an act of Congress to take it from him. Let's look at this move that China's making by selling off stuff to keep themselves above water just for a little bit longer, because I don't think Trump is going to let off until they really, really make a good deal. Overall, China is a significant holder of treasuries and had its $784.3 billion in holdings, reflecting a decrease from the previous second month of when they but prior to when they made the sale. But I just find this very, very perplexing because overall it comes at a very, very precarious time in the United States where the stock markets are up and down. There's uncertainty. People are buying gold. Price of gold has increased tremendously. So there's a lot of uncertainties around our economy right now, even though they seem to be raising from the dead, as it would seem, because everybody else was selling. Now everybody's buying. But I would pay close attention, and I will keep you guys updated on these treasury bonds, because ultimately I don't want to let this story, go the way of the wishes and just fade away, because I think there's something there. And if we continue to push in this direction, I wonder what the UK is going to do with this. Are they going to hold it to us to make payments out to them, or what? Because really and truly, all we can give them is a promise, because we don't have the money. The promise of labor is the only thing we have right now. So I wonder what will come of this, honestly and truly. But in other news, we got the baby bomber. Check this out.
Explosion was so crazy, it blew out the glass of this liquor store. Look at this liquor store. Oh my god. All from this explosion. Poor guy. Damn. This liquor store got from the explosion. Look at this, dude. Damn, crazy explosion. Glass and everything everywhere.
So if you guys have not heard of this situation, the FBI links this Cali fertility clinic bombing to an anti-nationalist movement, because this guy came out with his whole manifesto. Why? First off, before we get too deep into it, why is it that all of these freaks have manifestos now? I mean, most of America can't even read, but somehow, some way, all of them have these manifestos now. Every single last one of the major movements that have, been tragic in endings and terroristic in nature have all had manifestos. It's weird, but I'm not going to digress into that too much, but it's the FBI is seeing this as an attack on American nationalism, which we know the rhetoric of the left in the previous administration was very, very anti-nationalist, which I find to be weird because America is the only non-nationalist country until Donald Trump took office. He's making people proud to be American again. He's making people want to promote America again and puff out their chests and be American again. But this guy does this heinous act. You don't see any people on the right going out and blowing up abortion clinics. No, But you see this crap on the left. And there's so many things happening at one time that I could drown you guys in information of terroristic acts just from the left in the last month alone. So the incident overview for this particular situation, on Saturday, an explosion occurred outside the American Reproductive Centers in Palm Springs, California, resulting in 1 fatality and 4 injuries. Thank God it was not worse, but somebody lost their life regardless. The FBI has classified the explosion as an act of terrorism. Bravo FBI, under the tutelage of Kash Patel and Assistant Deputy Director Dan Bongino, my favorite. They have identified that the 25-year-old suspect, Guy Edwards Bartkus, was reportedly against bringing people into the world, as he said in his little autobiography, I guess you could really call it, because it's, I don't know, I think they probably use AI to write this crap, so it's not something that they've really done. The blast led to the death of the one suspect who was found in a vehicle at the scene. The clinic has confirmed that their eggs and embryos stored are safe. Praise God for that, because all these people trying to get pregnant and have babies, lives were completely shook up and potentially destroyed for their future offspring because of the act of one crazed individual who wants to do what? Stop life? America's birthing rate is already down 1.67. You need 2.1 to sustain a nation, to whether it's neither growing nor decreasing. We are fundamentally losing what it is to be America because of acts like this. You have abortion. You have people killing each other in the streets. You have people willingly cutting off genitalia and sewing up their genitalia and putting forearm skin down there. We are crashing out as a nation, and that in itself is a problem. And now we have people going around destroying fertility clinics, which I find that to be so crazy. So we will revisit the story if there's more that comes out, but I just find it to be despicable and distasteful for any harm to come to anyone, whether it's a right side, left side type of thing. These people are all criminals. They're all trash. Ultimately, we need to stand firm as America and Americans and link up just to stand against these types of crimes and call a spade and stop playing games. That's just my opinion, and I'll give it all day, every day, because I live in reality. But in other news, Mexican tall ships. So we have these beautiful ships here being displayed from Mexico. You know, this is their war vessels. Well, the artistic version of their war vessels. But what happened is these ships, you know, crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. But the bridge didn't fall down like in London. The boat did. So we're you know, getting a little flaccid here, and then we get a little bit more flaccid until we're just completely down here. This is what happens when you don't make things in America. That bridge was made here, so clearly it was stronger than that ship. But as an update to this story here, did you know that they are blaming America for this? They're saying that the ship controller or dock controller in New York was giving bad orders or something of the sort, which I find to be preposterous because you have eyes. You're the one navigating the boat. Just like that whole helicopter situation, running into a plane, you have eyes. You have people telling you what you do need to do and people that are telling you what you shouldn't be doing. Yeah, you have eyes. You clearly know that these large, tall masts aren't going to go under that bridge, and the Brooklyn Bridge, where it was at, is not a drawbridge. So why are you blaming us? Why are you blaming the United States for your mistake? It was a Navy training ship is what it was, and it collided with the bridge with minimal damage to the bridge. And unfortunately, two crew members lost their lives. So it was a tragedy, but to pass blame on to America for your negligence and ignorance is beyond me. They say that the ship reportedly drifted into the underside of the bridge, which were the initial reports, but I don't believe that to be the case. These boats should have been anchored down. I also find it strange that why would you be bringing your training ships instead of your real ships? By the way, their ships are ARMS, which is a acronym for a type of Navy vessel. Beautiful ships. You know, kind of sort of got it from America, but I digress. But why would you bring these here? What is the purpose? It looked like we were going to watch a Christmas water show or some sort, as opposed to it sitting next to our grayed out, murdered out ship behind it in the background, which it ultimately it's crazy that we're getting the blame. They should have just came over here with their ships, the real ones, and not that, and then not pass blame. This whole blame game is stupid, especially when we weren't the ones behind the controls. In other news, we have some jailhouse rock. This right here has no sound, so I'm going to narrate. Right now, we have some people doing some actions inside of a jailhouse right here. Some nefarious actions, and as you can see, it looks like he's trying to get into something, or is he trying to get out of something? We don't know yet. And this is a part of the story from Louisiana, where they say they can't get it straight. It's either 10 or 11. I've seen 11. I've seen 10. I don't know. I don't know because there's no confirmation. However, currently 5 men are still at large, 4 of which were charged with murder. So these are not your everyday blue collar or white collar crime individuals. These are, hardened criminals. And how they sat here and let this man herky jerk on this door for this long and nobody came to say anything or stop it. What was the guard doing behind the camera? Because they're supposed to be monitoring these things. Was he doing a conjugal visit with one of the inmates? What are you doing here? What are you doing? So it seems like they're not doing much, but they are trying to get this door open vehemently. So they escaped. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and they're just gone. They're gone. They have captured 5 of them, and 5 are still at large, like I said. And I think this happens to be one of the craziest things in the world that this happened. And personally, I feel like it might have been an inside job, but the fact that you have 4 murderers, charged with murders, out on the loose still, but somehow you caught the other ones, is crazy to me. And the fact that nobody was manning those cameras is even crazier to me. It kind of is reminiscent of the whole Epstein thing, that the cameras just go out and he has all the things that he needs to access to take his own life. You can make your own opinion about this. I just find it to be absolutely preposterous. The inmates managed to escape and exit the jail and then somehow get over the fence and get out. What are we putting murderers in minimum security now? Did you not have anybody out monitoring the yard either? And these men just happened to get away? I understand that it was at 1 a.m., but come on, guys. Kind of sort of dropped the ball here. And that's not good. I don't know, man. America seems to be doing better in some areas and falling apart in others. But if anybody loses their life due to this incident, we can wholeheartedly go after the warden and all of the guards in that prison, because that makes no sense. It really doesn't. However, we have more news on Mr. Comey. The DHS is now going after him and investigating him for his Instagram photo, which we covered last week. The former FBI director, James Comey, is currently under investigation for the post of his Instagram post and how it may have been interpreted. Now, I know with law, interpretation is kind of crazy, but really and truly, James Comey has gone after Donald J. Trump from the start, from the get-go. There's no secret that there's no love lost there. These men have been at each other from the start. And seeing this man post something, such a heinous thing at that 86:47, after all of the multiple attempts on this man's life have already been thwarted by God. It had to be by God, because there's multiple attempts every single day that we don't even know about on his life. To post something like this and then kick back in the beach chair like you're reading your book, I hope all of your book sales tank. And I mean that as disrespectfully as possible. I hope they tank, that you get no royalties, none of that stuff, so you can't pay your legal fees. And I hope that they charge you with 18 USC 871, where if you speak about doing harmful things to the president, it carries a fine. It's a felony. And I want your whole life to disintegrate around this, because why is it okay for you to say something like this and get away with it? And ultimately, we know for a fact that this is just going to embolden and be a dog whistle to people that are listening for this, that want this. There's posts all over the internet where people have already been visited by the FBI that are saying they're going to take Trump out. And I find this crazy. I find this to be absolutely crazy that someone that is a former FBI director would go out and do something this stupid, knowing full well the mentality of the people in America and the depravity of the ones that are drugged up on the Xanax and all the other psychotropics, knowing full well these people will do it. The Secret Service and other agencies have actively been investigating this post to determine if it constitutes a credible threat. If you say it's not a credible threat, I will call for everybody in the CIA to be removed and the Secret Service to be removed. This is a credible threat. We know it for a fact. And if you don't believe so, you're stupid. I'm not going to sugarcoat or mince words. You're stupid. And the fact that people can't just let this man serve his 4 years and be on his way so he can go sit on the beach with his wife and children and enjoy himself, it is crazy to me. He's got 3 years left. Leave him alone. Let him do what he's doing. He's not violating your rights. You're being lied to. And then you get douche noggles like James Comey perpetuating the ideology. And if anybody else gets on the internet and says, oh, it's a restaurant terminology, get rid of it, throw it out. Where'd that terminology come from? The mob, who owned restaurants, who made the term. And you can take it this way: 80 miles out, 6 feet deep, 8 miles out, 6 feet deep, or the measurements of a grave, 8 feet long, 6 feet deep. Either way, it ain't good. And if you're in the restaurant industry and you think, oh, it's just take it out, get rid of it, what does that mean? Because that food that you're throwing away, that you're 86ing, doesn't come back. It gets disposed of and goes to a place to be further disposed of. Incinerate it sometimes, trash compact it sometimes. So we know for a fact that this is not a good thing either way you look at it. So I hope to God that James Comey gets what's coming to him, because he deserves it. And just like he deserves it, Harvard deserves to eat cake. Yes, Harvard, eat cake. The Harvard president takes a 25% pay cut due to Trump's financial cuts. Good. Harvard has been doing a lot of movement left and right, up and down, after this whole DEI thing went into effect, where Trump's like, hey, we're not doing this crap anymore, especially at universities. People are going to get in based off their merit. They're going to graduate based off their merit, not because they're black or woman or other minority, which is crazy. The core issue is that Harvard is claiming this is that they've been blacklisted from receiving federal funding. In response to this, Harvard's president, again, has taken the 25% pay cut and now is likely to delve into the lawsuits that Harvard are trying to bring against Donald Trump. Everybody's got a damn lawsuit against Donald Trump. But Harvard has lost its esteem. It's lost its credibility. And all these other Ivy League schools are starting to go the same way. So hopefully they catch the drift and stop following the lead of Harvard. Princeton is on the chopping blocks next, and I'm excited to see it, because these universities make all this money, and these people come out, and we know for a fact that some of these kids couldn't graduate their way out of a wet paper bag, and you're giving them these degrees, and they're getting in positions and harming people, or cutting people out of things, or getting over on people when they don't deserve it. By the way, that president was making over $1 million a year. So 25% pay cut's not going to hurt him. You won't be able to afford that Maserati for a couple of years, you jerk. In other news, It's Icy Camp Pendleton. Camp Pendleton teams up with ICE to crack down on base entries. Now, personally, I think they're doing this because a lot of these contractors are bringing illegals on bases. So what better way to stop this behavior than to crack down and by teaming up with a base? And I hope more and more bases follow suit. The measures at the Marine Corps base in Camp Pendleton specifically are focusing on heightened visitor screenings implemented by immigration and customs enforcement. The article that we're looking at here talks about the reasons behind this. Increased security for the types of screening for visitors is for a myriad of reasons. It's a part of Trump's deportation move, but it's also a part of shoring up base security. And if you've been following me for any amount of time on these talks in the woods, the timber talks, then you will know for certain that our military is not a bastion of truth and sainthood. We have had multiple military members doing nefarious things, partnering with terroristic groups, or being terrorists themselves, or selling secrets to enemy nations. So if we shore up the outside, we can work better to shore up the inside. And I am here for it. If you're not, get off the train. I'll ride it along. I'll ride this long black train by myself. But seriously, get off the train if you're not with it, because we need to shore up every hole that we potentially have in this country as best we can, because the man, like I said, only has 3 more years. He's doing a magnificent job. I give him a 92 overall, but we have to shore up the holes that where the biggest threats can come from. And hopefully we continue to go after Congress and all of those nitwits that are doing the evil things they are doing, like blocking the big, beautiful bill. Check this out.
President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill of tax breaks and spending cuts is facing a massive setback in Congress.
Well, the noes have it. The committee stands in recess.
A handful of hard-right Republicans on the House Budget Committee voted with Democrats against advancing the bill Friday. The 5 holdouts, many of which are from the Conservative Freedom Caucus, are insisting on steeper spending cuts to Medicaid, the health care program for some 70 million Americans. They argue changes are needed to help offset new tax cuts that would add to the nation's $36 trillion debt.
So I am a no on this bill unless serious reforms are made.
The failed vote, 16-21, stalls, for now, House Speaker Mike Johnson's push to have the package approved next week. However, the Republican holdouts vowed to stay all weekend to negotiate changes to the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, named with a nod to President Trump, who implored his party to fall in line ahead of the vote. Republicans hold a slim majority in the House and have just a few votes to spare to advance the measure.
Okay, so there you have it. You saw at the end, I put up there, vote these people out. They're doing any and everything to hinder the moves of Donald Trump. And whilst I don't unequivocally and totally and wholeheartedly agree with the big, beautiful bill, there are some really good things in there. And I have to be realistic. Our country, the way our country works, you're going to have some give when it comes to politics. Otherwise, you won't get anything through. And Trump is trying to do the best he can while he can. And again, he doesn't have much more time in office. 3 years will be a wisp in the wind, dust in the wind, as that song says. So vote these people out. Vote these trash pandas out. Every single last one of them. Get new blood in there. They say they're too old. We already had a couple pass away over the past couple of weeks. Vote them out. Vote them out. Get them gone. Because if they're gone, we can start fresh and anew, and we can literally dial in on who's doing what and call them out and vote them out as well. We have the power and have had the power. Now, again, this bill did go ahead and make it through committee, the House committee, earlier this week, and it is set to, go to the House and be passed and all this other stuff. And the left is already complaining, oh, it's going to cut Medicaid and Medicare and no. Bro, all you guys want to do is spin for social issues while not actually doing any work. And I'm here for cutting it if it causes people to get off their lazy duffs and go do and put in work. If you're able-bodied and you can work, get off of assistance. What do you need it for? What do you need it for? The assistance for people that can't. Those that can shouldn't be benefiting from it. So, like I said, while I don't totally wholeheartedly agree with the bill, there are some good things from the bill. However, more important news, I love this man right here in this next video more than I probably should. He is a beacon and bastion of hope when it comes to America. Let's check out Dan Bongino.
We're about to ruin your summer if you're a bad guy. So I'm just warning you now, like, don't buy movie tickets because you're probably not going to cash them in. If you're a violent criminal, this FBI under our leadership, we don't care who gets the credit. All we care about is making your streets safer. The attitude every morning from the president on down. He, the president of the United States, wants to be able to get out in front of the American people and say, your lives are noticeably different. He wants people to be able to touch it and feel it. I don't care if you're in Stewart, Florida, or Harlem, New York. He wants you to walk outside and say, wow, my neighborhood does look different.
And your neighborhood should look different. There's no rhyme or reason why we have one of the most beautiful countries on the planet, arguably the best country on the planet, and we have crime from those inside and outside of our country. As you saw, 7 or 11, 10, whatever they call it, convicts escaped. Those people could be right now, out of those 4 of the 5 who are murderers, could be doing heinous things, taking lives right now. So there's no rhyme or reason why you shouldn't want them to tighten down on crime. And I mean actual crime, not us, because we're not breaking the law, but the ones that are breaking the law, that consistently break the law, should be cracked down on, especially those in Congress. Especially those in Congress. Again, those douche noggles, I can't stand them. Everybody wants to blame the president for what's going on in America. I don't blame Biden. I can't blame Trump. Can't blame Obama. Can't blame Bush, even though Bush contributed heavily. Can't blame Bill Clinton, Bush Sr., Reagan, none of them. Congress makes the decisions that make the changes in this country. And we let these babies, these milk bottle, nipple sucking babies, wah, 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 all they want in and out of them being in session, and make laws that change our lives when fundamentally most of the laws they make violate our constitutional rights. So vote them out. And then maybe we can focus more on the real criminals, like these people.
That's not what they testified to.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry. This one right here. U.S. charges, high-ranking Mexican drug cartel with narco terrorism. The Sinaloa cartel, also known as the Guzman Leora, I think I pronounced that correct, is an organization, a major transitional organized crime syndicate involved in drug trafficking. Who would have thought? It was founded in 1987, and it operates primarily in the regions such as Sinaloa, Sonora, and is that Chihuahua, Durango, and Nayarit. The leaders are Ivan, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name because I'll butcher it, Guzman Salazar, Ismael Zambadata Garcia, and Ovidio Guzman Lopez. Those are the leaders of and the founders of the Sinaloa cartel. And recently, several of the leaders from the Sinaloa cartel have been charged with narco terrorism by the Trump administration and money laundering. Finally, we can get some charges out here so we can start cleaning the streets up, because, the left, they're not doing anything wrong. You think that because they're not affecting your family members. You think that we should just let these people live their lives because they're looking for a better life and escaping the tyranny in their countries. These people are criminals. They're criminals. And if you don't think that, see that, know that, you're dumb, fundamentally. And disrespectfully, of course. Once again, these charges are a part of the ongoing efforts by the U.S. authorities to disrupt the flow of illegal drugs coming into our country, particularly fentanyl and methamphetamine. The indictments are seen as a direct response to the increasing opioid crisis in the U.S. Increasing, Democrats, increasing, meaning that it was here and now it's here. It's going up. So if anyone out there has ever had a family member that they lost the battle to opioids or you yourself had an addiction, you should understand this better than anybody else and want this out of our country. The Sinaloa cartel is being one of the most significant players in this game, are using all the other groups like Trinidad Agua and MS-13 to enforce these rules and regulations so they can get what they need passed through. Law enforcement agencies are intensifying their operations to dismantle these cartels and their networks and reduce the drug trafficking, as it should be. And if anyone stands against this, I stand against you, 10 toes down on it, because you are as much of the problem as these cartels are. Yeah. And there is no real insurance for you or your mammy or your pappy, because at the end of the day, they could come after you. And I think if it ever hits your front door, you will stand up too. Speaking of insurance, it's Allstate, Stan.
That's not what they testified to. That's not what they just testified to. You just heard sworn testimony from multiple adjusters, and they said it happened. One adjuster had only ever worked for you over years in the industry, and he said he was repeatedly directed by you, by your company, Allstate, to change factual findings, to delete material in his reports, to alter his reports, to make them factually incorrect, all with the purpose of driving down the award and padding your profits.
I disagree with this statement.
Well, you know, I have to notice that, I mean, your profits have never been better. I mean, they're really quite extraordinary. Fiscal year 24, Allstate had $64 billion in revenue. That's 12% above the previous year. You made $4.6 billion in profits. And your CEO, Tom Wilson, last year was paid $26 million. Now, Ms. Miguel can't get her claim paid out, but Tom Wilson, whoever the heck he is, gets $26 million. I mean, that's really extraordinary. Do you not have the money to pay people like Ms. Miguel? Why is she not a priority, but Tom Wilson's salary is?
We paid Ms. Miguel's claim.
No, you didn't. You have given her a paltry sum. Your own adjusters, you said in your testimony just a second ago, you sent out an adjuster. In fact, you sent out 3. And 2 of those adjusters testified just now under oath that your company ordered them to alter their reports against their will, contrary to their advice, and in fact to render them factually inaccurate. That's extraordinary.
I disagree with their statement.
You disagree that's what they said?
I disagree that that's our process.
So they're lying. That's what you're saying.
Okay, insurance companies are scams. They are. They give you this incentivization that they'll take care of you if you know bad things happen. But as someone that has had issues with insurance companies, as someone that watched a hurricane hit North Carolina, Florence, many years ago, not many, but 8 to 10 years ago, and absolutely decimate North Carolina and watch people not get their claims paid out after paying year after year after year with no incidents. Can you imagine? We'll keep it a small scale. Imagine if 100 people are paying $600 a month. That's a lot of money. They're paying that $600 a month for insurance. And 10 years goes by, no claims. That's 13 months of payments each year. Yes, there are 52 weeks. 52 weeks divided by 4 is 13. That's 13 months of payments at $600 a pop for 100 different people. And I'm keeping the number small so we can calculate together. These insurance companies are just collecting, sitting on. And then they don't want to pay out claims. Listen, Mr. Holly is growing on me like a wart on a frog's butt, because this man has repeatedly gone after credit card companies, Facebook, and now Allstate. He is a no holds barred equal opportunity offender, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a beautiful thing to see someone in Congress actually do what they're supposed to do. Call out the crime, call out the farce that is being fed to us. And because we are too dumb as American people to go do the research ourselves, Josh Hawley said, "No, I got you, pimping. I'm gonna make it known, and I'm gonna make it plain speech." And you see this douche noggle with the bleach blonde, platinum hair, whatever was going on there. He's probably grayer than the day is long on the top. Sit there and lie. Oh, I don't agree with what they're saying. Oh, and you know good and well, if the top brass comes down and says, "Alter this report," you're gonna do it because you want to keep your job. You're going to want to keep your job. So the top brass thinks that they can go along to get along because they got all that money. Crucify him too. Just like you would anybody else. Start making examples of these people and the problems will stop. And the claims will start getting paid out if you're dealing with insurance. It's a beautiful thing. It's an absolute beautiful thing. Also a beautiful thing are babies. And whilst we're having troubles having babies here and birthright citizenship here, China's putting in work right here in the United States. They have found a birthright loophole. The Trump administration is intensifying its efforts to combat underground Chinese nationals who are reportedly being paid substantial funds or sums of money to be baby brokers or to baby brokers to get pregnant, but not just any kind of pregnancies. The role of these baby brokers are to facilitate an arrangement. By the way, the word facilitate means to make easier. Democrats, not bring back or do something. But these baby brokers are trying to facilitate arrangements where pregnant women, often from China, are hired to carry babies for couples who are incapable of having babies on their own. We know this to be what is always known to be is surrogacy. However, these people are purposely allowing their wombs to be rented because it creates a loophole where you can't deport these people. Why? Because they're carrying the liberty interest of an American citizen. And that American citizen's baby is an American citizen. So therefore, they're getting citizenship through a loophole. The financial transactions involved can be quite significant, with reports indicating that there are an arrangement of tens of thousands of dollars just to get these people, just to get them pregnant with your baby. So these families are paying out all this money to these brokers who are finding these women who aren't legal citizens to, be an incubator. Yet we want to complain and cry about, not we, but some in America want to complain and cry about this Georgia case. They're using this woman's body as an incubator, whilst California is allowing Chinese people that aren't legal residents, legal citizens, to get pregnant so they can stay here. This raises a lot of ethical concerns about the exploitation and the commodification of childbirth. The industry operates in a legal gray area overall, prompting discussions about the implications of this all around the United States, especially for women who are seeking to adopt, because sometimes when things get hairy, these people back out on the deals, or the brokers just sell off the babies. So it's nefarious and should be condemned unequivocally, especially if you actually care about life and American citizenship. In other news, still in California, the LNG expansion has happened. Oil production and exportation has boomed. The U.S. LNG industry is experiencing a significant growth due to new policies, shifting trade dynamics, and establishing a new export facilities. This is beautiful. Trump just keeps winning. If you guys don't get it, he keeps winning. He keeps winning and he keeps winning. The recent reports indicate that billions of cubic feet of natural gas are now being transported thanks to the completion of 10 major pipelines. It's crazy. And these pipeline projects were previously halted under the previous administration, where they had gotten a lot of work done, and then they said, nope, stop. Crazy. The U.S. LNG export capacity is now projected to double by 2030. So Trump gets out of office, and he's going to just keep rolling that stuff over to the next president, hopefully a Republican, hopefully not J.D. Vance. I don't like him, but that's my personal opinion. So hopefully this keeps going, because this will only suit America. It will only benefit America. Let's stop shutting down pipelines that benefit us as an investment and lower prices for us as American people, and keep this going. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't get why we want to stop America from being back in business. And speaking of back in business, Cali oil rigs are back in business. Along with this LNG move that is done by Trump and his administration, by the way, oil rigs in California that have been down for 10 years restart their production. Sable Offshores has successfully restarted oil production from the Harmony platform off the coast of California, which had been offline for 10 years due to significant oil spill incidents. Man, if you can't fix a problem in 10 years, something is wrong. So I don't think it was totally about the oil spill issues. I think it had to do more with the previous administration putting their knee on the necks of these oil companies. The production is taking place in Santa Barbara County, specifically for the portions of Santa Ynez unit. The platform is expected to fill its storage capacity to approximately 540,000 barrels of crude oil by mid-June 2025. That's right around the corner. That's literally right around the corner. The future plans are following this initial restart of Sable Offshore's plans to recommence oil sales, making a significant return to the operations of the platform amidst this long hiatus. So, didn't they say that under Biden they produce more oil? We're not just producing more and in making more, we're selling more due to the LNG pipelines. Even though that's natural gas, we are making significant moves in the right direction, and as we should. We are not the biggest producing country in the world. That's China. You know, they export more than anybody and produce more than anybody when it comes to a lot of commodities. But we need to find our niche and stick in and hunker down and push forward, because if we don't, we will be taken out. So Trump is doing, again, everything he can. And I don't put my trust in Trump. I put it in God. But I believe he's sent by God to do what he's doing. And it's making a difference. And I guarantee you by August, you're going to start to see a lot of major changes. Kind of like this $7.5 billion investment we just got. Yeah. The CHIPS Act that, Biden did is still rolling out and not doing much, while Trump is out here making big boy plays. A $7.5 million investment giving 600 jobs by 2028 within chip plants that are already being built. Biden got one built in Arizona. Trump's already got another one built and having two more built. So what are we really doing? We're getting investments left and right. We're having these Taiwanese semiconductor companies coming to America due to the pressures they're receiving from China, but they're moving their stuff here. That only serves to benefit us. One, it cuts down shipping costs, and shipping costs are where the costs come from. No need to tariff if you're already here. It's going to make it a little bit cheaper, a little bit better, and it gives people jobs. This increase is driven by the rising demand of semiconductor materials around the world. And earlier this week, I received some information that they just found one of the world's largest lithium mines with reportedly over $1.5 trillion worth of lithium in it. That works with medical and batteries and many, many other things. So maybe that Green New Deal can be actually real whilst us still using oil. And I think the only way we can really make America better and more green is to let things coexist until we can do better. But this deal that Trump made with Taiwan is beautiful. The company recently opened a $3.5 billion manufacturing facility in Sherman, Texas. Yep, that wasn't a part of the CHIPS Act. The facility is a part of their strategy to enhance production capabilities in response to the growing market needs. So Trump is making and shaking all the right hands to get deals done. And this, again, is ahead of the CHIPS Act. So why are we complaining about what Trump is doing? He's actually doing exactly what Biden said he would do, but faster. So why are we complaining? We really shouldn't be complaining. You know who is really complaining? China. Yeah, China's worried about the U.S. airspace. Why are you worried about our airspace? Why are you worried about our airspace, man? First and foremost, it's ours, not yours. But the accusations that are coming from China in their foreign ministry has accused America of turning outer space into a war zone because we want a golden dome. Do you know that little balloon, my friend said this to me earlier, that little balloon wouldn't have floated around America for so long as it did if we had the golden dome. We would have shot it down. But China's now saying that they're worried because we're turning space into a war zone. We're not shooting missiles up into outer space. Probably can't, but we're not doing it. The Golden Dome is for our air superiority around our borders in our country. We don't care about being able to shoot things down in outer space. So I think this is just them reaching and grasping at straws. The concerns over global stability, China has argued that these missile defense systems, which, by the way, Israel and several other countries have similar missile defense systems, but they're not complaining about them, are initiatives to undermine the global strategic balance and stability, raising fears. Yeah, fear is irrational sometimes. Fear is subjective sometimes. Why aren't you saying this about Israel? They're the ones that actually invented the Golden Dome system. Theirs is called the Iron Dome. Why are we not complaining about them? Maybe because everybody's afraid to talk about the Jews and the Muslims, but I digress. I will, or Jewish people. Sorry, not Jews. But this is crazy. They're trying to fearmonger and make people think that what America's doing is to tip the scales of the world power to America. Really and truly, what have y'all been doing the last 50 years, China? Undermining everybody financially through tariffs and cheap subpar slave labor products, no intellectual property, and you've been devaluing your currency. And while everybody's distracted by what you're doing out here, you're building up 50 square mile facilities for production, trying to become the production giant in the world, which would fundamentally cripple any nation if you wanted to. It's true. You are the largest exporter in the world. So I take it with a grain of salt. China is grasping at any and everything they can right now, just like the left is. They're grasping at any and everything they can right now to make sense of something so that they can get a win because Trump is winning. America's winning. Not just Trump, America's winning. And if people would wake up and open their eyes, they would see that they're winning and live their lives. But they're too polarized and focused on the wrong things. Like luxury jets. Yeah. We got the luxury jet. Yeah. Just so you know, I'm going to give you an important reminder. The talks for this jet started under Biden in 2023. Because Trump, in his first term, made a deal with Boeing to make sure we get 2 new Air Force Ones, because our Air Force Ones are older than dirt as far as airplanes go, almost 40 years or even older than 40 years. And the backup Air Force One has been grounded multiple times due to structural issues. So why would we put some of the most valuable and important people in our country in a flying rust bucket when we could get them something new? The Pentagon has officially accepted the Boeing 747 Megajet from Qatar. And if you go back to the talks in 2023 that Biden was orchestrating, this was supposed to be a loaner. It's not supposed to be a permanent fixture. But the Pentagon has accepted it. So I'm interested to see how Congress responds to this. Because this is technically considered a gift, even though it's not for Trump specifically. I'm interested into seeing how this jet will be referred to. The Qatarians say it's a palace of the sky, but America and some of those in America might refer to it as a constitutional violation. So I'm interested into seeing if Congress will let this slide, or if they will let it slide and then try to later use it to impeach Trump because he violated, the emolument clause. The acceptance of this gift comes amid the discussion of the relations between Qatar. Because as you know, last week and a couple of weeks before, we discussed how Qatar has been paying and funneling money to universities and getting secrets and all this other stuff, whilst being friends with Hamas and other terroristic nations and organizations. and our friend at the same time. So it's kind of a shaky relationship, but at the same time, we need something. We can't have our president flying around the United States or the world in a rust bucket and potentially lose his life due to that. So I'm interested in seeing how this goes. We'll see. It might go better than we think. Might go worse than we think. Who knows? I'm here for it. As a side note to some other stories that didn't get put up in the show, China is replacing the void that America left with who? Yeah, they're giving money where America pulled out, and now China's trying to do it. They're trying to put in. We also had 2 Israeli emissaries, I guess you could call them, who lost their life last night. And then we had a shooting at the CIA building where someone tried to ram their vehicle into the building. So there's a lot going on. And as these stories develop, I will be bringing them to you and revisiting old ones so we can stay on top of things. And speaking of staying on top of things, we need to stay on top of being a Christian nation. I know that might piss some of you off, but we are. All 50 states' constitutions give a go-ahead nod to the fact that we're a Christian nation, and as such, so will I, by reading today's verse. Enter into the gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name, for the Lord is good. His mercies are everlasting, and his truth endures to all generations. Listen, guys, I appreciate you week in and week out supporting me. I will continue to get better and continue to bring you that good, hard, truthful information. It's not about being right. It's about, or not about being first. It's about being right. And I don't want to be the first one to bring you something. I want to be the right one to bring you something. So again, thank you for joining me. And remember, always make sure you aren't the one who misses the forest through the trees. Have a good one.